Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel A in Economist. So in the previous video I have explained to you what is textual presentation of data and what is tabular presentation of data. Now it's time for us to go into the third way of presenting statistical data, which is the diagrammatic representation, right? Diagrammatic representation of data, and in this video I will guide you how to do it manually. We will draw the graphs manually, but later on when I will be going into the statistical softwares, I will be showing you how to make these graphs in Python and R, right? So let's start with this. The first diagram that statistician uses is the simple line diagram. What is a line diagram? It shows the absolute change in the value of a variable with the change in time. So here the focus is on the word absolute change, and you will see why I am focusing on this term, because we have something called the ratio chart which focuses on the relative change. So here absolute change has some special significance. So line graph does what? So it basically shows the relationship between the absolute change of a variable with respect to the time, and it is meant for representing chronological data. Chronological data means the data which either changes in the ascending order or in the descending order with respect to time. When data changes either in ascending order or descending order, we call it a chronological data. Let us see an example here. Here what you see is the temperature versus time line diagram. If you see on the horizontal axis, what you have on the horizontal axis, you have time, which is plotted here, 6 am, 10 am, 2 am and 6 am again. So the gap between the time is 4 hours. This is 4 hour, this is 4 hour, this is also 4 hours. So usually what we do, we take a scale for each of our axis, right? Whenever you are drawing a line graph, what you have to do, you have to mention a scale for your graph. So what do you have to write here? If you are writing this manually on your copy, so what you have to write, suppose you are taking this to be 1 centimeter in your copy. This is not 1 centimeter, it is not according to scale, but suppose you want to draw it on your copy. So what you have to write, 1 centimeter or any units that you want to use. 1 inch is, suppose you write 1 inch, that will also do. So 1 centimeter here represents 4 hours of time. This is the scale according to which we are drawing this graph. The similar thing, and this is the horizontal scale. This is the horizontal scale that you are using. Also you have to mention the vertical scale. On the vertical axis you have temperature. Here you will write the variable under your study, the variable whose values you want to observe over time, right? So y axis will denote that. Again you have to write the scale here. So you are starting with 0 and the temperature then rises according to this axis. Here you see after 0 you are randomly writing 30, but statisticians don't do that. What you have to do to show that this is the discontinuous part, right? This is a discontinuous part. You are randomly writing 30 here, but this will be a wrong method. So what you have to do, you have to put this particular sign. You have to put this particular sign. This will mean that your graph is discontinued from here and then it starts from here. So you are starting with 30 degrees, and then after each centimeter you are increasing the temperature by 5 degrees. Suppose this is in degrees Celsius, so each centimeter will represent 5 degrees, right? So write the horizontal scale as well. 1 centimeter is 5 degree Celsius. This is the vertical scale you have. So whenever you are drawing a graph, if you don't mention the scale, it does not mean anything to statistics. So you have to look at this minute details before drawing something statistically, because statisticians give special emphasis to details. You have to write the scale, you have to mention the scale of both the horizontal axis and the vertical axis before even trying to draw the graph, right? Now if you have the data with you that at 6 am the temperature, the average temperature was 35 degrees, then you put a mark here. This will be a point on your diagram. Again for 10 am you have the data, again for 2 am you have the data, 6 am you have the data, or you might have the data for each hour and each minute in between. So that also you can plot it here, and if you join this by a straight line, you will have this increment, then this increment, then this decrement. So chronological data, as I have mentioned, that it will either go up or it will go down, or it can be stable as well. You can have a straight line also. If your value of the variable does not change at all, you will have a straight line, but in general, line diagram shows this chronological data which changes over time, right? I hope this is clear to you. This is the simple line diagram where we are concerned with only one variable under concern. Here the variable under concern is temperature, right? Now let us look at a second example where you have multiple line diagrams. Here you have variables under concern to be 3. You have 3 different categories of variables that you are trying to plot on a single line diagram, and this kind of line diagram is called the multiple line diagram. And this sort of diagram is very useful for making comparisons, right? The ultimate aim of statistician is to derive meaningful insights and compare between different variables and the trends of data. So if you look at the bears, so it is blue in color. So this is the diagram you have. So what you see, an incremental rise in the number of bears. So in the y-axis you have wildlife population. This is the number of wildlife animals you have here on this axis, and x-axis shows the years: 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021 and 2022. So here you have years, and here you have the number of wildlife population here. So it is a time series data. So what happens is that for every year you can measure the number of bears here by this value, number of dolphins and number of whales. So this particular diagram shows 3 different categories of variables plotted on a single xy plane, and you can follow and you can compare the trends. So you see that bears, number of bears are continuously increasing over the years. From 2017 to 2022, you can derive this conclusion that the number of bears has increases continuously. Now if you look at the dolphins is denoted by this orange color. So they started the highest. So number of dolphins were highest in the year 2017, and then they gradually decreases, and they are almost zero in 2022. So they are almost leading to extinction, right? So this is the insight that you can draw just by looking at this diagram. You don't need to write any texts or paragraphs or make any table or something. Just by looking at this, you can derive the conclusion that the number of dolphins has fell significantly. Now third variable is the whales, which is denoted using this shade, ash or gray shade, you can say. So here you see that it initially decreases, then it increases, then decreases, then increases. So it follows an ascending and descending trend. So it does not have any particular trend. It's almost varies. The population is on average it is 80 numbers of whales are there on an average. So you can measure that also. So this is the benefit, this is the advantage, or this is the benefit of drawing a multiple diagram. It is just a variant of the simple line diagram. And then the third type, what you have is the third example that I have taken is the average monthly rainfall for 2 particular cities, city 1 and city 2. And here the x-axis shows the data in months. So you plot the 12 months here on the horizontal axis, and the average monthly rainfall here on the vertical axis. Again, and in the previous diagram I forgot to tell you that you have to again mention the scale here. So here the horizontal axis has 1 centimeter equals to 1 year, right? 1 centimeter is 1 year. And on the vertical axis, if you want to see, 1 centimeter is 20 wildlife population, right? Number of population increases by 20 after each of the centimeter, with each passing centimeter. So you have to mention the scale everywhere. And here in this diagram, the vertical axis would be 1 centimeter is 1 unit of rainfall. 1 unit of rainfall, it can be in millimeter, it can be in centimeters. Accordingly, 1 unit of rainfall. And on the horizontal axis, you have months. So 1 centimeter will be 1 month. So these are the scale I am using. So here you can clearly see just by looking at the diagram that city 1 has strictly higher rainfall than city 2 in all the 12 months, right? City 1 experiences a higher rainfall in all the 12 months. Just by looking at the diagram, there is a clear gap or divergence between the line graphs of these two cities, and it increases, and the gap increases during January and during the month of December. It has a even higher gap in this initial months, right? January and in December's, right? So this is the insights that you can draw from here, and this is all about line diagram. And next up we have something called the ratio chart. I don't want to make this video longer than this. We will discuss it in the next lecture. So stay tuned, and I hope you find this video helpful. If you do, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll meet you in the next lecture. Thank you for your time.